All right. Are we good to go? Speak?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be fine. All right. So, new death battle drop. Bakugo versus he's I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I mean, I already know who wins, but I already knew who won before this death battle like even was finished. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
This wasn't a particularly close matchup. That was part of.
No, especially because this is on multiple levels a feeder matchup, a filler matchup, and a spite fight.
Yeah, so let me just message
I'm all for matches that are stomps as long as they make sense. But if it's going to be shit like this, there's no way you can convince me. A, it's not spiteful in some way, shape, or form. B, if memes are on the table, then I'm prepared to see Johnny vs. Freeman one of these fucking days, and I'm gonna have the exact same reaction as I do here.
Okay, so you keep saying Johnny versus Fearin, but who's Johnny in this circumstance?
Fucking Joestar, because fucking Part 7 fans are going to war with Freeman fans.
Over fucking what? It's one episode versus a whole
They keep
season.
review bombing each other just like fucking My Hero and this. They have just as much justification.
No. Again. The reason this matchup happened is because people on the internet kept making
Yes, and
Bakugo
they're
versus
doing the
Reze
same for that
stuff.
as well. And
So if
they're doing
I
the same
look
as
up
well.
Fearin versus a fucking cripple, I'm gonna find fucking artwork and pictures of that shit going on Twitter right now. No, I'm not.
You'll probably,
Well,
you'll
actually,
probably find more. You'll probably find more than that, if I'm being honest. If you search hard enough.
how was your Easter? I'm still stuck at work for the next 8 hours. It was fine. I didn't really do anything for Easter. Regardless, let's get into this. Me and Kyle don't
Oh,
particularly care about either. Oh,
oh, speaking of Easter, can we just admit once and for all Easter eggs are a scam?
and
I
what?
I don't want a hollow shell of chocolate. If someone's gonna get me chocolate, get me like a block. If it's gonna cost you $20 to get me chocolate, get me proper chocolate.
We can you can rant about Easter later, but for now let's get started with the boomstick plushie. Apparently,
Well,
oh, and it was
well, look
plushie.
who's here.
Oh, you two's. Oh, sprite fight. Okay.
Bakugo versus Reze, the god of
Probably won't be
explosions
talking too
versus
much,
the
I'm sure.
bomb
No, you good, Cyber. You good.
devil. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a
Wow,
death
did
battle.
they have that little in common that they didn't even bother doing a rundown?
Yeah.
Wiz, there's nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning, the rush of the shockwave, the flash of combustion. I love it when stuff goes boom.
And
Okay.
no one knows that feeling better than Katsuki Bakugo.
When your name literally means powerful bomb, it's no wonder he was born with the quirk explosion. It lets Bakugo create humongous kabooms from his palms. I can only dream of having hands that rad.
Quirks are genetic superpowers that most humans are
You
born
know-
with. Bakugo inherited
Hang on,
his
let me see
quirk
what they
from
say.
his parents. Specifically, it was a combination
I
of
hear
his
you,
father's
you're gonna say
combustible
something,
acid
pause
sweat.
it.
I know. I want to wait to see if they're gonna explain anything first before I ask the question.
And his mother's glycerin skin secretions.
Making Bakugo sweat basically like nitroglycerin. And the more he sweats, the bigger the booms. His parents basically made the perfect kid, absolutely oozing with shonen main character energy.
Bakugo felt similarly, so much so that he started bullying his childhood friend who happened to
Okay, so I don't. Is it ever explained why he doesn't suffer any feedback from his explosions?
Oh no, he does get feedback. They'll go over that later. He's just really durable.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
be born without a quirk.
Yeah, okay, he's kind of a snot-nosed turd
So Billy,
sometimes,
you're decking
but
you
come
away?
on,
Bro, I'm
Wiz,
Billy
the
Makuma's deck. What are you
kabooms!
smoking?
They're so cool.
Quirks are a natural biological feature of a person's body. In the same way that we don't really think about walking or breathing, Bakugo's explosions became like any other limb, especially with his rigorous training.
They don't know the first thing about
Damn
you.
it.
Whoa, mama.
I keep forgetting to just buy YouTube Premium. Like, every day I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm buying it today. And then I just fucking forget.
Quirks being like another limb is kind of like explored more so in the anime, I would say, than the manga. There's a few statements for that, and not just for him. It's just like in general, like if you're good with your quirk, it's basically like second nature. It's basically like another limb at that point.
I mean, like, you would just assume that in general. If I had the ability to fly, it wouldn't be special to me. It would just be part of daily life. And that goes for like any special ability you would have. Because the
Yeah,
more
it's
you
just
live with
something.
it.
I think they just wanted to address it because it's something that's like verbatim stated in the series. I think more so the anime than the manga. I would have to double check, but I remember it is stated in one of the episodes.
I'll seriously use ad blocker at this point. YouTube blocks ad blocker, so no.
Use his explosions to obliterate anything in sight, block attacks, launch himself around, and quickly maneuver in midair at hypersonic speeds, which requires a ton of focus and on-the-fly calculations.
And despite getting this incredibly dangerous quirk when he was 4, he somehow never killed himself or anyone else that we know of. Bakugo was truly a prodigy, destined for greatness.
And his only goal was to surpass Japan's numero uno superhero and his personal idol, All Might. In Bakugo's mind, the only person who wins no matter what. Absolute victory. No problem for the main character.
Except Katsuki wasn't the protagonist that he thought he was. That would be Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless child Bakugo bullied. In truth, he was threatened by Izuku's tenacity despite being quirkless.
Really? That crybaby's the main character? Well, Bakugo's inferiority complex would only get worse when Deku somehow landed a quirk that was just as cool, and both were accepted to the same
Well, let me get
superhero
this
high
straight.
school.
It's basically, I don't like you because you try hard.
Yeah.
Like, spite yourself.
Yeah, it's just a massive inferiority complex because, like, in his eyes, Deku would have no reason to be able to like want anything. He should just be like in his place. But that comes from that.
And we're supposed to like this character.
I think part of it comes from implied bad parenting. I'll get on that more later.
Yeah, all right. But regarding liking his character, I mean, he does get a whole redemption arc. So, like, I mean, they work on it.
It's such fucking Endeavor. What's your point?
There he
I mean, there are plenty of people who like Endeavor after the events of the series.
Endeavor has his own fan base. Like, you're not supposed to like him, but I can at least go in the notion that like the story punishes him, and like he does not get a good ending. He does not. That's the kind of the point. But like the thing is, he's well written in this. Like you can hate a character, but you can also admit they're well written. I think personally, Endeavor is well written. His story arc is like extremely realistic on how like it should end. That man ended up with a broken family, and he knows it.
I fully understand. Like, you can like the
You should
wife
stay
beater.
on.
That's fully understandable. I still like Chris Benoit's fucking wrestling matches despite the crimes he did.
Bruh.
I'm just saying.
Makes it 2 girls in the same deck. I'll take a look at it. But yeah, no, I mean they both get character arcs. So I mean we'll see how it goes. But let's see what they have to say here.
would learn to be a superhero and fully develop his ultimate moves.
Like flying through the sky faster than sound with turbo speed, blinding people with stun grenade, focusing his blasts into armor-piercing shots, or making a big-ass tornado of death.
The howitzer impact involves Bakugo spinning himself in midair with his explosions, building up a tremendous amount of swirling oxygen, and then igniting it all for one hell of a boom.
He's pretty smart when it comes to strategizing mid-fight. He even developed new techniques for his quirk faster than Deku did.
UA High also aided Bakugo's development by preparing him with his iconic Grenadier bracers, gauntlets that allow him to store up his sweat, gross, for prolonged bouts, or to release all of it at once in a single massive blast.
He's also got his hero suit, which helps him sweat faster in order to build up stronger attacks. Or the Strafe Panzer, these badass turrets mounted to his back that store his sweat as ammo. With all of that, it wasn't long before Bakugo made his hero debut, called the Bombshell Hero, Great Explosion Murder God, Dynamite. Hey, I dig it. The more colons, the merrier.
But despite some early wins, Bakugo failed to live up to his own sky-high expectations. He had the makings of a great hero, if only he could get out of his own way and put the team before his ego.
Especially when he was kidnapped by the League of Villains, ultimately leading Bakugo to blame himself for All Might's retirement. Something needed to change.
So he vented his frustrations in a slugfest with Deku and realized something crucial. That the kind of absolute victory that defined All Might wasn't victory for himself, but victory for everyone.
He was starting to become the prodigy everyone knew he could be. I mean, hell, even while he was unconscious, he kept analyzing the fight he was in and coming up with counters. Somehow,
Bakugo's powerful enough to shatter Todoroki's heaven-piercing ice wall, fast enough to keep up with villains like Shigaraki, who can catch light beams, and tough enough to survive, well,
being dead? Yep, you heard us. Bakugo was killed, dead as a doornail. And then a single bead of sweat floating through his bloodstream detonated and restarted his heart. If that isn't main character plot armor.
That how he fucking survived? I actually never looked into that.
Yeah, so
So we basically have a Byakuya moment where he's supposed to die, but the fan
Yeah.
base raged. Is that it?
Oh, you-
Zim, keep in mind, like Bakugo made the top of I'm pretty sure every single one of the popularity charts. He's always been number one. Like overseas and in Japan and whenever, people just love him.
I'm not sure how I feel about authors caving like that, but I mean, fair enough, I guess.
Intention to
So,
cave.
if he's that popular, then why didn't they go with the canon shipping of him and Deku then?
No. You said that Naruto and Sasuke.
Bruh. But yeah, no, because I know allegedly the creator of Bleach said that the fans had nothing to do with Byakuya coming back. I guess his ribcage was just exposed for fun.
If you literally look at the panel, you see Byakuya's ribcage. That man was dead.
Let us continue.
I don't know what is.
his stamina is perhaps the craziest thing about him. After all, he is tanking the recoil of all of his explosions.
Even with the overuse of his blasts literally tearing his body apart, he kept trying to make him stronger, and eventually his quirk awakened.
Essentially, when a quirk evolves to become stronger. Now, by condensing his explosions into smaller and more powerful clusters, Bakugo could enhance all of his techniques.
Like the Howitzer Impact Cluster, a stunning achievement in the field of explosionology, or kaboom theory for the layman.
Powerful enough to shatter the side of a mountain, or blow apart Uehai itself. Judging by the school's size, we can estimate Bakugo's Howitzer Impact Cluster yielded over 3...
I want to explain something about that specific move they don't bring up because of time constraints. Cluster is really weird because it has two functions. It increases his speed by if he's able to like detonate it inside, like the pain intervals, he'll use that to increase his speed. Number two, it's literal inverse attack potency. So like Shigaraki explains that the way that Cluster works is that Bakugo calculates it in his head and he violates the laws of physics because the explosion will, like, let's say he keeps it just to Shigaraki's surface area. It keeps all, you know how like it's bigger than the UA Academy? All that energy that should be like surface area wise, like surface area would ruin it, it stays all in the center point. So it's like Bakugo can like control the surface like area of his own detonations, like where the energy is distributed.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. We already have a word for that. It's called attack potency.
Well,
But it's
that's
No,
the point
it's
I'm making.
it's nice. It's just nice to see an actual verse like demonstrated that like fully
technically,
functionally.
if you wanted to be a kind of a jerk, you could say since Shigaraki treats it as something unique, like it's not something normal in verse, like Bakugo's a prodigy for being able to do it. You could just say that the attack potency doesn't canonically exist in My Hero, and Bakugo's the only one who could do it. If you really wanted to go there.
I mean, would that really even matter for the scaling? Like,
No, it would not. But like I've always had that as a funny jab. The moment Shigaraki mentioned, I'm like, if you wanted to be a jerk with this, like if you wanted to pull a character rant moment or something, or space spells, you could go, AP doesn't canonically exist in My Hero because Bakugo is the only one who can do it.
100 kilotons of TNT.
Given Bakugo's whole deal is explosions, it makes sense to science out what a ton of TNT actually is. It's literally the energy contained in 1,000 kilograms of trinitrotoluene.
A chemical compound composed of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
That's the recipe for kabooms.
Tons of TNT is the measurement options. Okay.
200
Now,
to
the
200 and now we get the explanation of what a ton of TNT is. To be fair, it's kind of appropriate for the for like what this episode entails, that being explosions. I just find it funny.
Yeah, no, because I was gonna say this is the first time I think they've ever explained what that measurement actually
pile of
is.
TNT as big as the Empire State Building, blowing up all at once. That's Bakugo's howitzer impact cluster.
And these explosions can launch him so fast, it's like time stands still around him.
Like when he covered a huge part of this city in a fraction of a second, almost 400 times the speed of sound.
And that's not all. Now he can detonate his sweat remotely and from all over his body, not just his palms.
With all of this crazy bullshit, Bakugo became one of the strongest heroes on Earth, enough to battle and defeat.
Blow up a mountainside, vaporize Wolfram's giant metal cubes, outspread Tokiyama's dark shadow, destroyed a rocket meteor shower. Is that the attack during the freaking high school the competition, or is that a different attack?
Wait, which attack?
Destroyed Oraka's meteor.
Yeah, that's the name of the attack.
Okay.
Again, like, this is more of an issue for like G1 and like things like that. But don't just like name shit if you're not going to explain like why it's impressive in the feat section.
Well, yeah, but it's also
Especially when it
also
comes like defeating people.
when you say they beat a meteor shower, like if you don't have the context behind it, that sounds a lot more impressive than what it actually is. All right, let's
I think
continue.
the expectancy, and I'm not saying this excuses anything, but I think the expectancy is that if you're going into watching this, you at least have like maybe viewed a little bit of the show or have some understanding. Again, it's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make this an extended conversation. I'm just saying that like that's kind of what I think, and part of the intention is behind it.
That's kind of wrong though, because they've been around for over a decade. They know that they have casual people who will just watch the episode like a TV show
again, I'm not
and
trying
won't
to-
even
was
like
gonna say
know
for
anything
sure,
about
but
either
let's-
character.
But we can move forward. But yeah, let's move forward a little bit here. 9's the movie, right? Yeah.
Its lifelong arch nemesis, All for One. Yeah, that's right, the main villain. Who's the protagonist now, Deku?
Bakugo literally and figuratively surpassed his childhood idol and proved his mettle as a hero.
Number 5.
I don't mean to be that guy specifically, but like, doesn't he only beat All for One because All for One's like dying off on his own? Like, if it was like All for One in a normal, healthy body, he wouldn't have lost to Bakugo, right? Or am I like wrong on that assertion? Well, if anyone can let me know, feel free to.
Wait, what happened? Sorry, I was busy for a minute.
No. What I'm saying is like, if Bakugo had fought a fully healthy All for One, he would have lost that fight, right? Or does the story say like he's just superior to All for One in general? How to escape reality warping? Having all powers helps escaping reality warping? I mean, if you have all powers to escape reality warping, I feel like you just escape reality warping at that point. Anyways, because I know by the time Bakugo fights One for All or All for One, he's already fucking like decaying back to a baby.
On the rankings and rising. Not bad, Kachan.
But more important than proving it to his friends, to All Might, or even to Deku, he proved it to himself.
To your question. So All for One was kind of weakened in the moment in the sense that he had like regressed a lot, but he was still pretty high in power. Give me a moment.
No, you're good. I actually keep forgetting that All Might actually survives the events of the series. Like, even with the idea that like he doesn't die in the final battle, like I would have assumed he would have just died off by the time Deku became an adult, because like his organs are fucking ruptured, basically. I don't want to hear anyone being like, "Oh, One Piece doesn't kill off their fucking characters." When fucking My Hero over here pulling this bullshit.
Yeah, whatever. Take that, losers! Sickest quirk in the world over here! Dynamite! 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 Wiz, what happened to you?
Yep.
Sorry, I keep getting. I told you I was going to be like offered it. So
Very
to
good.
explain the all for one situation, like all for one claims that Bakugo's blast system are not that damaging and that he's weaker than Endeavor and like Dark Shadow has full potential. But he's kind of like the implication is that all for one is kind of like BSing in the moment. He's like because like his attitude in the moment is all distorted. Like at the moment, like when like in that moment, his emotions are like all over the place because of him reversing in age and his link to Shigaraki. Like he normally would be emotionless or just kind of like cold-hearted and calculated. He's like kind of like Shigaraki at his like having like a rage bait moment in that moment. So that's part of the reason why he says that. I think it would be fair to say that Bakugo like heavily downscales from him, but he certainly does not scale to all for one's full potential.
Okay, that's fine.
Famine, conquest. Humanity has been plagued by all manner of ills since they first crawled out of the primordial
let's
ooze.
see that
In the
Chainsaw Man.
world of Chainsaw Man, there is nothing to fear but fear itself.
Because fear itself is real, and they're called devils.
Literally devils from hell. These monstrous beings are the living embodiments of humanity's worst nightmares, and their power is directly proportional to that fear.
So the chicken devil might be so weak you could keep him as a class pet, like, you know, a chicken. But what about the bat devil, or the ghost devil, or the devil embodying man's fears of one of the greatest weapons it's ever created, the bomb devil?
Did you know
Not
that
to be
PetSmart
confused
has
with
auto
nuclear
ship?
bombs, because that's a completely separate devil. Because that made sense. All right.
Known about the origins of the bomb devil's current host, Reze, if that even is her real name.
She might look cute and kawaii, but she's actually a Soviet assassin trained from birth to be one of the deadliest killers on the planet. Basically a black...
What?
Good.
Is he saying something? Hello?
I'll just tell my dog it's time for dinner.
It
Oh.
is unknown, but it'll probably be less than 80. We know that like what the whip fiend, the whip hybrid, she says that like she's like, if I remember in part 2, she says like she's 84. She's like one of the older hybrids.
Oh, do the demon hosts not age like as like normal humans?
Well, hybrids don't age. The moment they're imparted the bit of the devil that they become, they stop aging. The whip devil, she looks like a woman in her 20s, but she hasn't aged a day since she got her hybrid form, and she explicitly says she's like in her like mid 80s around the time of part 2.
Yeah, when you
So like
telling me
Red
Denji just
Bull-
keeps getting groomed?
we don't know for sure if Reze is that old because Reze is from like the Soviet Union still exists in part 2, and it's like the late 1990s at that point. So it's like she was we know that she kind of like had the whole Black Widow treatment. She's from like a secret op, like they were like training kids as assassins. We really don't know more about her history. She could be a teenager for all we know. The implication is that she's supposed to be around Denji's age, especially with like Fujimoto did like some non-canon drawings of Reze and Denji as a kid to promote the film. I think the implication is she's like roughly his age.
All right, it's okay because it's all just a dream now.
Widow.
True.
A cold and lonely existence for anyone, but quadruply so in a world as effed up as this.
But all Reze wanted was a safe, normal, quiet life. As much a fable to her as Aesop's Country Mouse.
Too bad! You are now a walking, talking explosive. Have fun.
Boom.
At some point, the girl
You now
known as
have
Reze
more in
was
common with
implanted
Flying Kira than you do Bakugo.
a
Congratulations.
fragment of the bomb devil and became a hybrid.
Fire
A
Kyle.
human possessing a devil's powers without sacrificing their
Oh,
humanity,
fuck Baton Man.
transforming their body into a living weapon.
As a hybrid, Reze's strength and speed are way crazier than a normal human's. And with her martial arts training, she's a force to be reckoned with up close. Also, Wiz, check out the bomb for a head.
Someone like Reze would eat you alive, literally. Should devils like Reze take any damage whatsoever, they can heal by consuming blood.
And that lets hybrids survive some pretty insane stuff, like having their limbs torn off, getting bisected clean in half, or being roasted alive. Just slurp some blood and they're good as new.
Especially useful considering the bomb devil's primary ability is literally blowing herself up. Reze can emit explosions from any surface of her body.
Hybrid definite physiology, searching, transformation. Okay.
Even tearing off limbs and turning them into bombs that she can detonate at will.
Damn, that's hardcore. She can use these blasts to jet through the sky at hypersonic speeds, maneuver and redirect herself in midair, and enhance the strength and speed of her blows.
Or Reze can send sparks that can ignite the atmosphere in explosions that tear apart entire cities. Making herself stronger, the more fear her wanton destruction creates.
As long as the area around her is dry enough to maintain ignition, Reze can create as many explosions as she wants, non-stop.
She can even turn
Humanity's fear of her not only enhances her explosive power, but her physical power as well. She was able to shrug off an attack from the Violence Fiend, who specializes in physical
her
strength.
own body into different types of real-world bombs.
If you pause for a sec, fear amps in part 2 are like explicitly shown that what it does is it increases your physical the strength of your abilities, your speed, and to some extent your durability. Durability does not scale 1-to-1 with AP and Chainsaw Man, but it does increase with, and also Chainsaw Man has a distinction that piercing durability is a thing in burst, but piercing durability also increases with fear amps. Like Asa got her arm cut off, and then like the moment she got fear amped, all it did to her was like a paper cut.
Alright. Okay. Not
And
bad.
that's already how I take durability anyways. Like, I don't put it all under, like, oh, you can get stabbed by a blade, so you have fuck durability. No,
Power.
because I'm very well aware there's different kinds of durability.
I just think
Some
Chainsaw Man is
people in
like
our friend group aren't. They don't have that idea, but, you know, I do.
I just think Chainsaw Man is like super blatant with it. Like durability doesn't scale like 1-to-1 with AP, but it does rise with fear. And then like piercing durability like is another thing too.
I see. Alright, alright.
Or her apron into dynamite. Every single inch of Reze is a living weapon.
This made her feared across the devil world as one of their mightiest warriors, and the perfect choice to assassinate Japan's newly acquired devil hybrid, Chainsaw Man.
He's actually not the Chainsaw Man, but I mean, pop off, I guess. Well, whatever Pochetta is.
A very, very cute mascot character.
Might not think chainsaws are all that scary, at least not compared to bombs, but the Chainsaw Devil is special.
Any devil the Chainsaw Devil consumes becomes deleted from reality, retroactively erased from humanity's collective consciousness.
And here I thought chainsaws were for boring stuff like trees,
Okay,
Texas
so
Massacre.
I got a question though. Why bring up Pochita? Because she never fights Pochita. Correct me if I'm wrong. Until the fight when she's being used by Makima, but at that point she has no agency over her own body and is basically a meat shield.
No. So they're not bringing up Pochita for scaling. They're just bringing up Pochita for like world building, as to bring up like why she's even after Denji.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say that's gonna be. I'm not gonna agree with that.
Maybe she can also eat things and make them cease to be. You don't know.
Silly me.
This ability makes the Chainsaw Devil the most important being alive and invaluable for any global power to control.
Except instead of meeting the fearsome chainsaw of legend, Reze met Denji, a dumb, horny teenage boy just looking for anyone to love.
And for once, Reze actually hesitated. Rather than immediately kill her target, she got to know him and found they weren't so different. Both were used as tools of the state, as weapons of war rather than people. A kindred spirit in a hostile world, Denji wanted to drink up as much of the excitement of life as he could. The town mouse to her country mouse.
And thankfully, he was super easy for a pretty face to manipulate.
It wouldn't be the only time.
Reze's nothing if not professional, and she gave Denji one parting gift. To teach him the way devils did battle before he died.
As the embodiment of one of the deadliest weapons known to man, Reze's power is off the charts, capable of creating an explosion more than 400 meters in diameter. That's over 4 football fields long.
To have a blast that size, you'd need to be exploding with over 2 kilotons of TNT.
More than comparable to nuclear weapons, which is really impressive considering Reze is not the devil of nuclear bombs. That's apparently an entirely separate thing.
Despite her bombs being technically conventional, they're just that strong.
Likely comparable to other powerful devils like the Gun Devil, who could travel across the world and kill millions of people in 5 minutes.
That'd be over 500 times the speed of sound.
Yeah.
She's even stronger than the...
I remember seeing a picture of the Gun Devil. That guy seems a little too extreme just to be the fucking Gun Devil.
So you have to understand it. a devil's power and size is proportionate to fear, but also as well, I don't know if I'm comfortable scaling her to the gun devil specifically because the gun devil's flesh, if you get like a small sliver of its flesh, can increase a devil's power by a disgusting amount.
May I really quick? I don't think they're scaling AP to Gun Devil. They're scaling speed. Now that in itself is a little weird. Usually the meta I see is Denji fought the Gun Fiend. He's not implied to have trained much during Assassin's Arc or after. Reze should be comparable in speed. I feel the problem with that is that Fiends are explicitly weaker than like the full grown devil. It could be slower, for example. I think the other argument, if I remember right, is, and this one's a little circular. He does slightly decent against weakened Pochita, as in like the fake Denji, like the copy, like around chapter 95 or 96, I think. 94, I think. Before like he beats her, right? So the argument is to say he is shown comparable to Makima in speed when they like have their 1v1. Thank you very much. And then the other thing is to say that Makima was able to fight the Gun Devil. Problem is, a lot of Makima's fight with the Gun Devil is off screen. Like I said, it's very circular. I think it's just for the sake of generosity and like giving a speed feat. Like the Gun Devil's speed technically is the most popular speed meta for Chainsaw Man. Has been for quite a while.
If you want to actually like give her a proper speed tier that actually matters, just say that she scales to everyone who fought the Eternity Devil, and the Eternity Devil literally stopped time on one of the floors in the hotel, so they can basically move with inaccessible speed if you really want to stretch it.
What the fuck are you even talking about?
So the Eternity Devil basically, it's a devil early in the series, around chapter 15 or 20.
I
Where it isolated
You're good, Cyber.
this.
You're good.
It isolated this room, not this room, this floor of a hotel, and trapped it within in a time loop, separating it from time and space. But they make note that time does not pass when they're in this room, and that's shown to be true because as soon as they leave the hotel, it's basically they basically come out the same time as they went in. So time just does not move there whatsoever. So you can make the argument that Denji and everyone who was in that room at that time and who would scale to them later on would have inaccessible speed.
I see. Well, let's continue.
Devil, a sentient city-spanning storm.
The literal coughing baby to her hydrogen bomb.
Unfortunately for Reze, Denji took her lessons to heart and proved he was more than a fitting host for the Chainsaw Devil.
He
Alright, hold that for a
whooped her
sec.
ass,
What?
For Evenly with Chainsaw Man, Evenly is being very nice. She whooped the dog shit out of him, and the only reason why she lost was because she wasn't trying to kill him.
Nah.
She whoops the dog shit out of Denji. You can either read the manga version of the fight or you can watch the movie. Neither version, you walk away thinking Denji had that.
Nope. Nonsense. He's the
spared
main
her
character.
life, just in case her seduction wasn't a total act after all.
But it wasn't meant to be. Whether
What's
Reze
Denji's
chose
real
the
concept?
safe life of the country mouse or the exciting life of the town mouse, there are hungry cats everywhere.
Oh, Makima, what I would give to find someone to kill you.
Reze's dreams of freedom were never realized. She simply changed hands from one.
Why the fuck did they say that like they didn't already have fucking Makima lose a death battle already?
Cold, unfeeling entity to another. And this time, there was no escape. She was a weapon, a symbol of man's bottomless capacity for malice and self-destruction.
A living bomb. The battle's about to start, and I hope you've got something good to hear these kabooms with, like our sponsor,
Everything such as
Spoon Buggings for sale.
Raycons. Go to buy, open ear, and we've run the data through all.
Let's see. So this is a pixel fight, so we'll see how it goes. And there's a fucking ad. Let's go.
Is here. One office.
Oh.
I've been sent to collect your head, Dynamite.
Better villains than you have tried, lady. You tell your bosses that after I send you back in a coffin!
How would I tell them that if I was already dead? Wow, you're quick.
Shut up and die!
I'll put this right now. These are a really good try.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a mix of sprite and 2D drawings.
Oh, damn! Oh, damn!
I remember there was an argument that people had during this time that, like, she's immune to explosions.
That's not true.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people made that clear. I just remember there was a funny thing, though. She really can't use explosions in the rain? That's kind of fucking stupid.
Move it or lose it, people!
Save me, Dynamite!
Let go of me!
Boom.
Oh, that's a 3D one. Alright, so a lot of mixed animations here.
You got a fast one, Reze. How did you feel?
Leave them out of this!
So, correct me if I'm wrong, she can blow herself up, right?
Your blood was delicious.
Oh yeah, every part of her body is explosive.
Does she die from blowing herself up?
You bit off a bit more than you could
No,
chew.
so
My
pause
blood
it.
is the only thing.
Hang on.
So the way it works in for her and also for like all devils, they can continuously regenerate as long as they have blood.
Alright.
It's easier to explain if you actually go through the actual series than me trying to like
No,
hand explain it to you.
I understand that. I'm just like thinking to myself, like, couldn't you just blow yourself up to avoid taking damage and then just restore yourself?
What you should worry about,
It's just a thought in my head.
I'm aiming for absolute victory! Howitzer! Impact! Cluster! Scratch that.
But
Not
so
enough.
how I put it like this: while he technically kills Reze, he doesn't kill the Bomb Devil. The Bomb Devil now technically respawns at a different time.
For a coffin.
To be fair, the matchup
You know what I
is
mean?
yeah, but the matchup is Bakugo versus Reze.
No,
not
no, no,
specifically
no. I understand. I'm just explaining that more for like lore
clarity's sake.
reasons. Where like, if you were to kill them, it's like that person is dead, but you didn't kill the concept of the devil, so the devil will come back eventually again. So it's more of like a technical victory, but it's also more of a TKO than anything. But the obvious result is obvious.
Who could have guessed?
Oh, Denji, we're so sorry to hear about your girlfriend that passed away. She gets 5 big booms. Boom! Boom!
Please just shut up. On the surface, these two seemed evenly matched. So let's break this fight down into
Seemed evenly matched.
Bullshit. You have done 5 My Hero Academia matches so far, and every time you have done it, you have gotten every single one of those characters to at least like small country to continental. Fuck off. Do not try and play this.
3 categories: their speed, their stamina, and their firepower.
First up, let's talk speed.
Both Bakugo and Reze could rocket through the sky at hypersonic speeds and maneuver and redirect themselves on a dime in the middle of fights. To the casual observer, at least, they'd seem to be on par with each other.
So we have to look at the people they've fought to compare.
Reze has battled Chainsaw Man, who could
Denji and Pochetta have fluctuated in power since the battle with Reze due to the fear surrounding Chainsaw Man. As a result, Reze cannot reliably scale defeats from newer arcs of Chainsaw Man.
Match and defeat someone using the Gun Devil's power.
The same
Yeah,
gun
I
devil
agree
that
with
can
that.
literally fly around the world, killing millions of people at over 500 times the speed of sound.
Impressive, but compare that to Bakugo fighting Shigaraki, who could react fast enough to catch light beams with his bare hands.
That's over 1,000 times faster.
Wait. In 15 seconds? Doesn't it take like light only 7 seconds to cross the planet? Like, do those seconds really fucking like?
It takes like I think it's no, isn't it 8 seconds to get from the moon to the planet?
No, because it takes 8 minutes from light to get to the sun to the planet. Hang on, I'll just look it on my phone while this is going on. Hang on.
And that was before Bakugo's quirk awakening that made him even faster than that.
With reaction speed of that caliber, there's little chance Reze could ever get the drop on Bakugo, and would likely be forced to play catch-up in a duel.
So they admit that there is enough of a speed gap that the character would never be able to touch them. Where was this for any of the other fights last year? Where was this for Kratos versus Ashra? Where was this for Dante versus Clive?
Okay, no. Okay, I was wrong. Okay, there we go. Takes 0.13 seconds to travel the Earth. Yeah, because I was gonna say, because I could have sworn I was told that it takes like 8 seconds to travel the planet, but no, that's wrong. It might be the moon then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that sounds way too fucking slow.
Speed goes to Bakugo.
However, speed doesn't matter if one couldn't truly hurt the other. A big part of this fight is their stamina.
Okay,
Bakugo's
well,
durability
this is where I'm gonna disagree. I don't care what your AP is, if you can never touch me, I win. Because you'll never kill me.
Yeah, but if this is a stamina match, then that can make a difference. Because a lot of characters in fiction, their durability is heavily based on their stamina. Even if it's
Yeah,
not
but
like directly confirmed, most
While
shonen
that would-
series will have the main character.
while that would be true, if this was two characters who had a series where they were in it for like 300 chapters plus each, not one character who has the equivalent like showtime of like 15 chapters on their own, and then I feel like an additional 10 as a puppet, while the other one is basically the secondary main character. I think there's a little bit of a discrepancy difference.
Well, yeah, but the point being that, like, I forgot this was today. Yeah. Well, the point I'm getting is that, like, there are plenty of scenarios where even if you're faster, well, granted, being faster than light versus fucking Mach 500 is a massive, massive fucking gap. Theoretically, there are scenarios where stamina makes a bigger difference than like speed would, if that makes sense.
mind-boggling. He's survived being impaled through the torso and has even brought himself back to life.
But
I don't really like they keep bringing him back from the dead. Like, he didn't come back alone. I think his heart was held in place by the other guy. It wasn't a solo recitation feat directly, you know? Like, he might have restarted his heart, but if there wasn't someone holding him in place, it wouldn't have
So
mattered.
what Ed Shot did was close up the wounds and clean his insides with soap bubbles that was given by, I forget the hero's name, the one that looks like a washer. You are correct. It probably, if the thing exploded and hurt his heart, he probably, I mean, it would have resuscitated him, but he would still not like be able to do anything unless his wounds were closed. I guess what they're trying to say is that he could start his heart back up, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
like Reze, his stamina does eventually hit a limit. Every explosion he makes whittles him down just a little bit more and uses up more and more of his sweat. Without a break, he can eventually run out.
Whereas Reze can effectively create bombs without rest.
So I'm gonna give a hot take here. If a definitive time limit is never shown for a character being like running out of stamina, like unless your opponent is someone who just can't run out of stamina, or like has like really good stamina feats, I don't think it matters for the most part.
Hybrids can fight for at least 3 days. We know Denji was able to fight the Eternity Devil. Granted, he was taking blood constantly from the Eternity Devil, but like if we're talking about stamina, Denji has a decent feat of fighting for 3 days straight with no breaks.
All right.
Well, if you want to go further into the manga, when he gets sucked into the ageless devils like universe, technically it's longer than that until he realized he can just like start eating the people trees.
The fucking what?
So in the world of Chainsaw Man, if people live too long, because Pochita ate every other possibility for the end of life except death, people will turn eventually to trees.
Okay. All right.
And from a distance.
Unlike Bakugo, who usually likes to get up close and personal.
Furthermore, her devil hybrid physiology gives her an actual regenerative healing factor, allowing her to shrug off the same kind of mortal blows that would eventually kill Bakugo, main character plot armor or not.
If this ever became a war of attrition, Reze had it in the bag. Stamina goes to Reze.
However, it's unlikely it would ever get to that point. The biggest factor in this fight was always going to be their raw firepower.
Explosions! First, we gotta compare their two biggest blasts. Reze's nuclear light bomb against Denji versus Bakugo's howitzer impact cluster.
And the difference is obvious. Based on calculating their sizes, Bakugo's 300 kiloton explosion was over 100 times more powerful than Reze's 2 kiloton blast.
But that's not all. Remember the Typhoon Devil?
Coughing baby or not, to create a storm big enough to cover Tokyo's over 2,000 square kilometers, he'd have to be generating more than 400 kilotons of TNT.
Greater than Bakugo, right? But that's not all. Again, Bakugo's howitzer impact once shattered the size of this big-ass mountain. And despite being earlier on in the series, it was ginormous. Almost 3 kilometers in radius.
Or just over 2 megatons of TNT, 5 times more powerful than the Typhoon Devil.
Okay. That's
What was that? Sorry.
okay. So I mean, I understand My Hero Academia is a little more okay with movie feats, but interesting.
So the idea here was more direct feats. Technically, Bakugo can scale higher than this, but like it is, I mean, pretty set in stone. Like Typhoon versus his biggest explosion is a pretty solid comparison, I'd say.
I mean, that's fine. Like that's fine. Like I understand. It's just that. Okay, My
I
Hero
mean, like,
Academia is one of the few series that actually you can use movie feats because technically all the movies are canon. Technically.
Every single last one of them, better for worse.
Yep.
And
so
way
basically,
beyond
just to break it down so people understand what they're looking at, they basically say that Bakugo is like the bottom end of mountain, if not the top end of like city level, while Reze's like the
Town.
very bottom end of city, or the very top end of like large town.
Also, they say Reze movie version, but like the Reze arc doesn't have an anime, right? It's just a movie. Like we're just
No,
like
it's just the movie. As far as I've heard, I'm not quite sure. The next time the anime comes back, they'll be doing the arc after the movie.
Yeah, Assassin's Arc is next.
yeah. So I don't know why I don't know why we're putting movie version. I mean, like I guess, but like I mean, there's not
I
there's
guess
not gonna
because
be an
it's probably
anime.
easier to calculate than like some of the things in the manga, I guess.
Well, no. Like I understand why they're using the movie version, but like when you say Reze movie version, it implies there's a different version of the feat or like a different anime
Oh,
version.
they
No.
completely
What
like
I mean by that is
overhaul.
that the explosion
They
is
completely
bigger
overhaul the
in the
plot.
anime.
They add different stuff in it.
Okay, Cyber, what were you saying? Also, Kyle, I did hear you.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. I'm saying that I think that, but they don't mean to say separate version. They just mean to say that the explosion is bigger in the anime.
All right, fair enough.
we've seen Reze do.
And this was Bakugo before reaching his full power in his fight against All for One. Bakugo takes the final edge in explosions.
And remember, Bakugo withstands the recoil of all his blasts. So even though Reze had greater stamina, Bakugo was more than tough enough to hang on and get his kill shot, especially with his superior speed.
And devil healing factors can
Here's
be overtaxed
the
with
thing. The reason we're all really quiet is because there's nothing to say. We knew that this wasn't going to be a fight.
Yes, My Hero Academia scaling, especially if you go with the Lightspeed metas, was always going to trounce Chainsaw Man, especially a character like Reze, because as Kyle points out consistently, she's there for one arc and like technically part of a second arc, and that's it. versus a
And the
guy
only
who
character in
scales to the
Chainsaw
whole
Man,
series.
and the only character in Chainsaw Man that you could arguably put at light speed is Denji, unless you want to be like super generous and say Makima and say the War Devil as well. Otherwise, no one else. Because those are the only people who fight like true form Chainsaw Man.
I mean, personally, I think that's fine, but like, I mean, to each their own. I haven't read Chainsaw Man to actually give like my full position on it.
Enough damage. Hell, she needed to drink blood
The
a
thing
couple
with
times to
Chainsaw
get.
Man is that like Denji's scaling is going to very much depend on if you're fine with statements. If you're fine with statements, then I haven't said anything false. If you want actual feats with the statements, then you're going to be in for some trouble.
Yes.
Denji just to keep fighting.
Otherwise,
Against
the
someone
new
as
fastest
fast
thing that Denji has dodged is like dodging the flag that flew from the moon to Japan in like a few seconds.
Oh, I remember the build up because when they showed the flag, a lot of power scalers were like, "Oh, we're gonna get moon level Chainsaw Man scaling," and it's just the flag flying down. Oh,
I mean, it's a decent speed. I mean, it's a decent speed feat, but there's nothing else to it.
it was the funniest moment when their hearts all just collectively broke. Oh,
I mean, it's fine.
yeah, this
Chainsaw
matchup is
Man fans, it's
this
alright.
matchup.
Chainsaw Man fans and Jujutsu Kaisen fans got to see their metas die.
No, at least for fucking JJK fans, they can argue one guy's light speed, technically. You can't argue fucking Gojo Sukuna anymore unless you really
Depends. Do
want
you
to
want to talk to
argue whether
Mangler
or not
about
he's
that?
human.
Depends. Do you want to talk to Mangler about that?
I'll talk to Mangler about it. I'll fucking well, so to be clear, only fucking well, it depends if you believe Maharaga scales to his speed. I'm not sure I agree because of how like curse techniques work. But like I mean like I
The
think
fuck thing is that we're in a situation where we're gonna have to wait for the anime to show us what Sukuna does with Kashimo. Does he aim dodge him or does he dodge the attack?
it wouldn't matter at that point if that happens. You would give that anime only scaling because the problem isn't the feat. The problem is that according to the narrator, no human has ever gotten close to the speed of light. That's the issue.
Or you have the fuck situation where you argue the supposed like electromagnetic waves in Jujutsu Kaisen do not move at light speed.
I mean, to be fair, they're in the atmosphere, so they're always going to be sub-rel. So if you really wanted to just stretch it here, you could argue the radio waves are like 0.95 the speed of light, and that fucking Deborah's like 9.9 the speed of light. But Deborah confirms that light and moving at light speed works the way it does in reality. So if you're moving at light speed, you feel the effects of it. And if you hit anybody at light speed, you will cause an explosion because that's how like fucking mass and velocity work. So the only argument you can present is Gojo and Sukuna not being human based on the narrator's statement. And the idea that their precision with their abilities is so intense, they just wouldn't cause the explosions of hitting at the speed of light. But unfortunately, at this point, it's just better arguing that JJK is just massively hypersonic. If they are sub-rel, it would be like I hate to say it because like I did like the lightspeed meta for JJK. I was gonna make a whole versus video with it, but at this point, honestly, you're better off just arguing for massively
Oh, sorry,
hypersonic to like.
sorry, Bob. When are you going to basically announce to people that Kaio beats the dog shit out of like Gojo now?
Well, no, I mean, like, I'm planning to still make the versus video, but I'm going to do a completely different versus video. Instead of going over, like, stats, then an ending, I'm just going to talk about, like, some interesting stuff that happened in the research for the matchup. Go over the matchup, like, briefly, because, again, there's, like, nothing to talk about now. Kaio just fucking breeds and Gojo just dies.
Powerful as Bakugo, she would not get the chance to heal
I did like the idea,
consistently
though. I'm
or
going to reuse
perhaps
it
at all.
again, but
And
hopefully
what-
next time the matchup won't get fucking shafted by super new information.
What happens when devils die? They bakugo to hell.
The winner is Katsuki Bakugo.
Bombshell, hero, great explosion, murder, god, dynamite. Next time on Death Battle.
Megamind versus Gru.
Subscribe and join as a member.
That's
to
actually
see
probably
more.
gonna be.
Finally, some good fucking food.
I was gonna say that's probably gonna be the best matchup of the year, depending. To be honest, that's gonna be a
Now
good
that you
one.
see that, now that you see that this match has come up, this match, filler or not filler?
I think this match was always filler, personally. And I don't mean to disrespect the animator because the fight was good, but like, this matchup came about because of the movie, like sparking interest in the matchup. It was not a good matchup in and of itself.
Let's be very clear here. This is not them just using an idea, doing a fun little matchup. People paid for this season 2. I would be so fucking pissed off that this made it onto the paid ballot.
I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that one because hang on.
No, I would, because I want actual matchups to have actual, like, deep dives that matter. Not meme matchups that are basically disguised spike fights to feed a character that I like.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, it just comes down to the audience if the audience likes it or not. Currently, this matchup is not doing the best, but not doing the worst. I've definitely seen worse matchups.
Yeah, because they kind of missed the boat. My Hero, the manga finished a few years ago, and the anime finished like the middle of last year. And so the Reze movie came out like the middle to like arse end of last year. So they kind of like missed the boat on the popularity.
Oh, that actually reminds me, completely off topic to this, but I was told that they did confirm Gojo versus Sukuna was going to be a movie. Have you heard anything about that, or?
Oh, God, fucking I hope not.
Because I was going to say, because like I knew there was going to be a JJK movie at some point for sure, given how popular anime movies have become. But like, I didn't know if it was actually confirmed. We're getting
Here's the thing: if they're gonna make it into a movie, don't have it just be that fight. Because at that point, you've got like 20 chapters. Just fucking animate the entire arc at that point. You know what I mean?
Realistically speaking, if they wanted to and they cleared up some of the dead space, you could probably animate the entire Sukuna fight in like 1 2 hour movie. Maybe maybe a 3 hour movie, but I think you
No,
could
you
do
know
it.
what? Give it some leeway. Give it a 2.5 hour runtime.
Well, I was gonna say because like if you just start the fight with Gojo at the start of the movie, give the fight like 30 to 40 minutes because that's what everyone's gonna want anyways, and then just the rest of them jumping them, you could probably squeeze it all into 2 hours, I'd say. Because for what I understand, there's a movie coming, and then there may or may not be a final season. But if there is a final season, that means that like, there's not really a reason for a final season unless we're gonna fucking combine Modelo. Hello, Pim Demon.
Either that, or they're going to do an anime version of the movie.
Oh, I don't
Which at
think
that
so.
which at that point you might as well just like go from that straight to Modelo, and Modelo you could probably do, being generous, what, 12 episodes
You could probably
if you
do
stretch it.
6. So you could probably do it in 6 or less, or probably 6 or 8. That actually reminds me. So apparently, JJK is losing their animators.
Why?
Apparently, the animation studio for JJK would not be animating the movie. It's going to be the people who did One Punch Man season 3, which at that point, like, maybe you'll like it, Kyle. Maybe it'll be a slideshow of the manga.
No, I'm still convinced if I watch season 3 of One Punch Man, I bet you I'd walk away being like, it's fucking fine. People are just fucking spoiled brats nowadays.
To be fair, after watching JJK season 3 and watching the animation, I'm like, listen, I know they're still spoiled, but I can low-key kind of understand when they see this shit and then they see that, and it's like, yeah, I kind of understand why they're pissed off about it. But isn't it not every studio changed their fucking animators to their fucking desk to work nonstop?
Well, it's also like I don't need a show to look movie quality every fucking episode. I'm fine with like little things looking shitty here and there as long as it's not like Berserk 2016.
That's what everyone says. But all right, so Gru versus Megamind. I'm pretty sure Gru takes this,
Mm,
unless you argue
I'm
downscaling to
gonna,
Metroman.
I'm gonna, no. You know what? I'm gonna give a hot take. I'm gonna say Gru's gonna win, and what I'm gonna say he's gonna win with, they're gonna say that on paper, Megamind looks like he should be faster, scaling to Metro Man and to Titan, but Metro Man's feet only gets him to sub-rel when you calc it. And I'm pretty sure Gru has dodged actual like light beams.
Oh, if that's I mean, like I could see that argument. You're probably correct, but that'd be so fucking No, has he dodged laser beams?
Maybe in like one of the holiday specials, maybe.
Fuck, this might be one of the few times where I'm like, nah, bring in the feats, bring in. Let's see, let's go bar for bar here, because I know damn well Gru being Lightspeed is bullshit. Like I can definitely see him dodging lasers because it's a cartoon. But then he'll also get hit by the There's no way Death Battle, with how anal they are about shit when it comes to like the circle like feats, that they don't just look at it like it's an outlier. If he did dodge lasers, I'd be very surprised. Let's see. Plot twist: the animation for the movie is just page flipping, like the entire movie is just a book, not even any sound.
So I'm gonna put it like this. I'm betting Gru. I want Megamind. What about you?
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I think because Megamind had a TV show, a special, and a second movie. But from what I understand, only the first movie had anything worthwhile in it. But I could be wrong. I never watched the second movie. I heard it was really bad.
So my knowledge for both of these series goes as far as I have seen Megamind like a millennia ago, and I saw Gru. I saw Despicable Me 1, and I never bothered catching up with the rest of them. Like, it's not that I didn't like the series, it's just that I never got around to watching them.
From what I understand of fucking Megamind, again, like this really gonna just come down to like the absurdity of the feats, but I'm fairly confident Gru has better feats.
Do you think it's going to be a Fates thing, or do you think they're going to be like, well, here are the Fates, but truly, it's who has the better technology?
If you're going off of tech, I think Gru still takes it. Well, this depends if does Gru also get his minions, because the minions I think technically would be better than anything Megamind has, because minions can't be
Does,
killed.
does Megamind have like a mini army that he can throw against them?
Yeah, he has his drones, but the minions can't die. Like I think it's actually like confirmed in either a special that minions are just immortal. They're just unkillable. It's why people make the joke about so the way the minions work in theory is they're supposed to serve the most evil person around. Which is why everyone makes the joke about where were the minions during 1938 to 1946. Clive versus Dante exists, Virgil versus Sephiroth, Ghost Rider versus Spawn, etc., etc. No, Death Battle is anal about the research. It's just that the way Death Battle works is that there will be times where they just believe things that you shouldn't believe. Because again, like Clive gained Universal, but listen, Logos is already out. I've already talked about it, but I will be making a video on it later. I'm not going to beat that horse to death too much. Not yet, anyway. That comes later. Still, yeah. So I think this is all going to be a case of Megamind is probably going to be the popular one to win, but everyone kind of just assumes Gru's going to take it due to some bullshit. Especially because Gru. Well, do you think Gru should scale to his fucking like opponent's technology and skills or not?
I'm not sure, because as I said, like, it has been a super long time since I've seen Despicable Me,
Well, yeah,
and
because
I've
like
only ever seen the first movie.
Because so you know the antagonist of the first movie lived, right? After being like stuck in space.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's a special where he takes broken parts of the old spacecraft, flies himself to Mars on accident, and then I think from Mars gets back to Earth. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm saying like, because like again, I want to say Megamind, but I'm fairly confident Gru's got this.
You
They
know what's
forgot.
funny that you know what's funny that this is the more pain in the ass version of like Betamax versus Toothless, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. They forgot Mephisto's cube for Ghost Rider. If they were anal, we'd see that. We don't. We see shortcuts made, flawed arguments or biases. What the fuck? Mephisto's cube. The only the look. Well, I don't agree with Death Battle's research all the time, but the only thing Death Battle has genuinely been like super fucking inconsistent with, no bullshit on the table. The one thing they are inconsistent with is how they give gear to people. Because sometimes you'll have them be like, this guy glanced at this weapon one time, so we're going to give it to him. And then other times they'll be like, he didn't live with this weapon for 30 plus years, so we shouldn't give it to him. No matchup in particular is coming into my head by that, by the way. There's no matchup in particular I'm thinking of. Not one. Because that'd be silly. I missed it? Yeah, Jay. For the death battle reactions, I think we're gonna try and do them like around this time going forward. Be
I I would probably hold off on that because I'd be getting home from work around this time, so maybe we'd be starting around this time, if not like slightly after.
okay. So then, are you saying you'd rather just have the usual stream time for death battle streams then?
Well, just like today's a different kind of day because today's a public holiday for me.
Well, I understand that, but like, because I think the last one we did earlier too, but I think you were driving back. I could be wrong about that.
No, so daylight savings didn't happen at that point, so I still had like an hour to play with before we did that.
Oh, okay. So then your daylight saving. You guys still do daylight savings too? I thought you guys stopped doing that.
No, I think only Queensland stopped. I wish we'd stop. It's a fucking pain in the ass.
Ah, so the one thing Queenslanders got over you, I see. I just got home too. Yeah, sorry, Jay. It's because like so Kyle had a day off and I was like, well, you know what, it might be better just to do the stream earlier to give like more time for Kyle to do stuff or go to sleep earlier. Because I think during our normal streams, you get off like at 8 or 9 your time, right?
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured like for a death battle stream like this, for a matchup we didn't really care for, because ultimately we had no bone in this fight. It might have been better to start it earlier. Also, we had a higher chance of getting Cyber to show up. Unfortunately, Cyber had things going on, so he couldn't stick around for the whole thing.
And he was here for 70% of it, and like there were just points where none of us were really talking because there was like nothing to really go over.
Yes, because ultimately we just I
Well,
never even read Chainsaw Man.
anything, well, anything that there was to go over, like we had two My Hero matchups last year, and Cyber was there for both of them. So any lingering questions we had about the verse, he already answered them.
Yeah, because Cyber thankfully knows the verse pretty well, so he's been able to provide us with information. It's just that like how many matchups have been done in the past fucking 2 seasons? Was it 5?
No. So all up, you've had All Might versus My Guy, you've had Asta versus Deku, you've had Deku versus Miles, and you've had Bakugo versus Reze.
And then you had a Shigaraki versus Mahito. So you've had three
Yeah.
matchups in like the last like 2 years then.
Yes.
Hmm.
No, because the My Guy one was I think 2020 and Deku Asta 22. I want to say.
Yeah. But well, what I'm saying is like in the last 3 years, we had Shigaraki, Bakugo, and Deku
So
again.
last
Because
year we had Shigaraki and Deku, and this year we got Bakugo.
okay,
And that's if for some reason they don't try and like stuff All for One in here. And if All for One's going to be in here because he's like the only other character you ever want from My Hero to be in a versus match, it would probably be like the main
oh
antagonist
wait,
from
you
like
forgot
Mob
one.
Psycho.
You forgot one because as you were mentioning it, Todoroki had a matchup, but everyone
Oh, we
forgot about
fucking
it.
did too against Zuko.
Yeah, but you forgot about it like everyone else did because it was a terrible fucking matchup. Actually, to be
Yeah,
fair,
because it
that would have
fucking
more
sucked.
connections than this one.
It did. It was just it was just another stomp.
That's that is the issue of power scaling a little bit is if because again like equalizing stats just doesn't give you a proper answer, but like there's a lot of matchups that sound good on paper and then you look at their stats and you're just like, why are you so weak? Get
Here's the
stronger.
thing. I don't. Like I said at the start of the stream, I don't mind stomp fights as long as they're thematical. As long as I can see why they would be paired up with
Right,
each other,
Devil.
I'm fine with that. Not when it's stuff like this, where it just feels petty.
All right, Devil, take care of yourself, mate. Happy
But
Easter.
like, the only My Hero character I can think of that they have left that people would want, and he's probably going to show up in this year, if not next year, is All for One, and he's probably fighting like the main villain from Mob Psycho.
And well, I don't know anything about that one. Uh, nah, that battle's messed up quite a bit to compare their research to anal, unless you want to say the bias or lack the attention to certain matchups due to needing more researchers for upcoming episodes. I don't know how Death Battle does their system anymore. I assume they do it one episode at a time. I could be wrong about that. Now to be clear, by the time we get to production of the episode, the matchup's set in stone. Any new information, unless it's extremely fucking
Now,
look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know. I, I've yet to remember a time where Death Battle actually just drastically changed their matchup or delayed an episode because information completely made them wrong.
I think worst case scenario, they basically just either have a black box or they do like a little thing where they go, oopsie, we
Probably.
didn't add this later on.
Shoto versus the Avatar Firebender. I doubt it. Minato versus Superman when or Mineta versus Superman when they're gonna do Deku for a third time. Yeah, but who would you do for Deku a third time at that point? Like who would even be his matchup?
You've already exhausted his best matchup, which was Asta, and you already did his second best matchup, which was Miles.
I mean, I guess you could put him up against like another anime
No,
protagonist, but
oh
like
no, I know. If he's gonna go up again, it'll be against fucking Gon from Hunter x Hunter. It'll be the only matchup that they'll have for Gon, and it's a matchup that stopped making sense once Deku started getting new powers. And then it'll just be another fucking Deku victory. So he'll have 2 wins and 1 loss.
that's not bad.
I mean, it's better than Batman's fucking streak.
Well, that's because most of Batman's matchups also end up just getting with him being stomped because Batman just has bad matchups. Because at the end of the day, Batman, most of Batman's matchups are against people who have comparable levels of power in terms of like intelligence and like skill, and also have superpowers. So no Batman should really be winning any of their fucking fights because I think
Well,
Batgirl beats Spider Gwen, and I think Batman 2099 beats Spider Man 2099. I could be wrong about
he
that.
did. And if I remember correctly, those were very controversial.
Yeah, because there's no reason to fucking believe that shit would ever fucking happen. No, Kyle, he's gonna go up against will be Will Stronghold from Sky High.
Who?
Deku versus the protagonist of Sky High. You ever see Sky High?
Never heard of it.
It was a Disney Channel um live action movie about a superhero school. The main character is a guy who's born to a super strength indestructible father and a wife who and a mom who can fly. I think she also has super strength too. I could be wrong about that one. So basically, he's Superman, but he doesn't gain his powers until the end of the movie because, like, they haven't like grown in. You think like Invincible or Mark from Invincible, I guess would be a good way of saying it.
I I mean,
It's like,
you know what? They're dog shit when it comes to their matchup, so it would not surprise me.
I'm surprised we're not getting another Invincible matchup this season because Invincible season 4 is out right now, right?
It's either out or airy.
God, I missed that movie. Yeah. But overall, the death battle was pretty solid. I mean, again, like you either like the matchup or you don't. I don't think the matchup was all that good either, but I also didn't really care for any of the characters, so maybe that's just a me thing. I hate Invincible. It sucks. Oh, I'm kind of surprised, Pimp Demon. That seemed right up your alley. Stain would be a good ninja match. Yeah, but who would Stain's matchup even be? Like, who do you really bring in for My Hero to have a matchup?
Stain would have the same problem as Reze. He has like 15, 20 chapters dedicated to him, and then he doesn't show back up again. And when he does show up, it's like for a cameo.
Doesn't he use his powers on All for One though? So you could at least argue that like his quirk works to that extent, which is actually isn't terrible.
Well, you can either argue that, or you can argue the fact of like no one has a resistance to like blood manipulation because that's what he does. He ingests your blood and he paralyzes you. So if you don't have a resistance to it, it wouldn't like scale to their AP. It would just mean they don't have a resistance.
Would you argue that if you have resistance to paralysis, you can resist his effects, or would you say no? No, sorry, Newham, we finished
I'd
it.
have to look more into the ability, but I'm like teetering like maybe.
I tried Invincible, then I got bored. I'm kind of surprised, Pimp Demon. You seem like the kind of guy who likes deconstructions. Hello, Melissa. Sorry, guys, we're at the end of the stream. Unfortunately, we started a little earlier to try and accommodate Kyle's schedule a little bit for sleeping, or at least I was trying to more accurately because he's got work tomorrow. So I know he likes to go sleep a little earlier because he wakes up super early. And to get Cyber to show up because Cyber sometimes can't make it on like the really late streams. It worked for the most part. Granted, apparently no one else got the notification for like half the fucking stream. There was only like 3 people here talking. But let me think. So Aang versus the Traveler still has to happen. Is there any other matchups? Death Battle still technically. I think Gru versus Megamind actually was a promised matchup as well.
It was.
So what's left? Let me see if anyone's.
Uh, that's a good question.
I was asleep. Um, Death Battle Kickstarter matchups. Here we go. Uh, is it the same? Here we go. Maybe this will pop up. Here we go. Reward tiers. So, fuck off. Ads. Wow, this thing became fucking infested with ads. Holy shit. Okay, Light versus Colombo still has to happen. We did Ash versus Yugi. Oh, I forgot Torian was brought back to be Dante versus Clive, but that was a stretch goal. Play Miss Buffy. Okay, so apparently, according to this, it's just Gru versus Megamind and fucking Aang versus the Traveler are the last two that need to be made, I guess. And I guess Light versus Columbo, but huh. I wonder if they'll have another Kickstarter. I wonder how good the season's been. Stepbrother versus Stepsister when? The fuck? Nero Hellboy? That is not, no, that's not a promised matchup. So when Death Battle made their Kickstarter, they promised specific matchups that would be done as part of the Kickstarter rewards. Meaning that what I was looking at is have they completed every Kickstarter reward matchup, but they still have two left. I kind of wonder why they haven't just bit the bullet on Aang versus the Traveler. Did I hear Columbo? Yes, Columbo versus Light Yagami is supposed to be a matchup. But from what I understand, that's going to be a completely different matchup to the usual. I can't help but wonder if they're actually going to try and produce like a live action Light versus Columbo episode, which I think would be the right call, to be honest, but we'll see how they do it. Because, oh, Light would lose? Light loses to most like intelligent characters who try to figure out who he is. He's not dumb, but he's not very smart either, in the sense that the main reason Light was a threat to L was just because there was no reasonable person who could have predicted the way Light worked.
Elle knew who Kira was. This is what most people miss. Elle knew Light was Kira the entire time. It was trying to gather evidence to prove it.
Yeah, because it's one thing to know who the killer is, but how do you explain in the court of law, yeah, they use a fucking magical fucking notebook to kill somebody?
Because if you try and bring the Death Note in for evidence, it's like, okay, circumstantial.
Well, you'd also have to prove it works, which means you'd have to kill someone with it. And I don't think they would ever let like people get into that territory of using the Death Note to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, they planted a red herring on the notebook itself. Again, it's really just a case of L loses because he's fighting supernatural powers he would never have had any reason to believe existed.
People forget this as well. Light has a terrible fucking poker face. He thinks that he's slick. First and foremost, his father is too blinded because it's too close to home. But most other people see it. Elle's not the only person in the series who figures out it's Light. I'm pretty sure the female investigator does too, and in the manga, Light causes her to disappear, doesn't he?
I think a lot of characters figure it out, but L, I think, is the first one to figure it out, and then everyone else over time kind of realizes, fuck, maybe L was onto something. And then Light just goes back to eating his
Light's not
potato
subtle,
chips.
because Light starts changing how he acts as a person as well.
Yeah, because once Light beats L, he thinks there's no one smart enough to figure him out. And to be fair, there really isn't. Like, Nier, there's a lot of debate as to whether or not Nier cheats in order to get Light. Same as Japan, they do war crimes on their own people since forever. Do you guys watch Gintama? I do not personally. When they gonna do Doofy Gilmore in a death battle? Who the fuck is Doofy Gilmore? Did you see Zim? Jack 3 got an open goal release? Kaizo, what the fuck does that mean? But yeah, no, because, so we'll see. But yeah, most people can figure out it's Light. Especially Columbo, because Columbo doesn't play fair. Like he doesn't he doesn't break the law, but that fucker's not entirely fair either. Scary movie one villain.
I am so sorry for being so late. We had without going into details because I can't, we had a huge emergency where I work.
You're good,
So
mate.
I was I'm back. What did you think of the episode?
I mean, overall, it was fine. I mean, I didn't really have a bone in the fight. The animation was pretty good. I enjoyed the animation a lot. I don't really think the soundtrack was anything to write home about, though, from what I was listening to.
The
I think
choreography was a step up. I really
anything.
enjoyed the models.
Yeah, no. The use of different animation styles was pretty good. That being
Um,
said, uh,
yeah, but
so Gru versus Megamind. Correct me if I'm wrong, because
that
we
was part of
checked.
the Kickstarter.
Oh,
That was part of the Kickstarter, so that's why that
yes.
was like on the original Kickstarter list.
But so Aang versus the Traveler is the last one they announced, right? Because I checked the list, and that's the only one that's
So,
left.
so after Drew Megamind, at some point, Aang Traveler will come out when it's done. That'll be the last one from the original list, besides like the bonus episode with
Yeah,
Columbo versus Light.
yeah. The Columbo Stomp. Yes.
Any? Do you have any questions about that, or
Which one? The Columbo Stomp or like the matchup in
no?
general
No.
for like
The Drew Megamind, you were like I cut you off on the Drew Megamind thing.
so just answer me this one question. Does Gru have light speed scaling or not?
I am going to be completely blunt honest with you. I don't scale either. I dropped Despicable Me on the fourth film. Fourth film was not for me. I do not like it. I kind of gained an aversion to this specific matchup. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't really care for it. I'm pretty sure the animation will be peak, or at least good. That'll probably be the saving grace for me. But if there is any episode so far that's been confirmed, any in the last year that I really do not care for, it's this one. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just that and sequels to a certain Megamind film that should not have existed or have been greenlit in the first place are the other reason why I don't really care for the matchup.
No, that's fair. But yeah, no, for Gru has FTL. Well, I guess we'll see what they say then. But yeah, no, for the most part, it was fine. I mean, I don't really have too much questions on Chainsaw Man because I do technically have to read Chainsaw Man at some point because it's a really popular. Well, actually, I mean, is it really popular
But
now
you
that the
still
ending was dog shit?
It's still pretty popular. JJK definitely exceeds in it and fails, but Chainsaw Man is popular. It was the final chapter caused the Shueisha website to crash for like a good 30 minutes when everyone was trying to read it.
Damn, and everyone got disappointed in real time. That's crazy.
I think the final chapter was it was kind of like I think part two kind of I know you haven't read it, but I'm pretty sure uh uh Balrog, you've read, right? All of part two?
I have. What I thought of the last chapter was like I didn't hate it, but it was definitely like super rushed. Like I
Absolutely.
didn't think it was terrible. I think it was just like a speed run of the events. If
I have
Denji never met Pochita, which is like okay, so he was always going to have a shit life, which is what I kind of expected.
I have one big issue with the final chapter. Where after being basically center focus with Asa to sometimes Asa's detriment, where the hell is Yoru? I get it, like everything's been retconned, but like Yoru should have had at least one panel there. I really do hope that the final volume, when it drops in June, has like a bonus chapter that I really need it. Even if it's like 8 pages, I'll take it.
No, sorry, you missed the main part. Where the fuck is Aki?
Yeah, I hope that the implication isn't that. Well, what I can gather, this is just a fan theory. If Makima doesn't exist and she just stayed as Nayuta, like or incarnated as Nayuta because her obsession with Chainsaw Man never happened, I guess Aki never joined public safety.
But that doesn't make sense because he joins public safety because the gun devil kills his family.
Then perhaps he wasn't under Nayuta's jurisdiction, rather a different unit. Granted, that could have been shown.
You know what?
Well, I'm saying that he could have been a part of another unit of public safety, perhaps not under Nayuta. Maybe that's why he never.
You know
That's
what?
why he's not.
If we do get a bonus chapter, he's probably in Himeno's group.
Yeah, no, we didn't see Himeno. That's right. That's another problem I have with part 2. No Kobeni, and more importantly, where is my man Kishibe?
Hopefully living a better, safer life.
Kishibe, if anything, by not showing up was kind of a dick. I've always taken the implication is that since he was missing most of his internal organs by the time of part 1, he probably just kicked the bucket between the two parts.
Listen. I'm just glad now there's a version of Denji that loses to Yuji. Let's go. Let's go.
So I'm basically going to put it to you like this: if you did base debate, like Yuji is beating Denji, Denji only wins when you give him like the merge Pochita transformation when he is Chainsaw Man, because then he just outstats Yuji.
Let me hit you with that end of series Yuji versus end of series fucking Denji.
Speaking of end of series Yuji, I really need the final JJK module volume to elaborate more on his abilities. And if not him, maybe some elaboration on Dabura's like domain. What the hell does it do?
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I actually got to sit down and write a little script for that, going over why Gojo's still the superior of the three strongest. Of course. Gotta get on that.
Oh, that's a hot take. That is definitely a hot take.
It's not a fucking hot take. What the fuck? Motherfuckers literally see just one fucking green skin move at the speed of light and immediately forget everything else, bro. Insane. Insane.
I mean, it wasn't Sukuna on the floor in two pieces.
Right. Because the author just like, yeah, Gojo just apparently went blind for like 30 fucking seconds. Besides, I don't want to hear I don't want to hear shit about Sukuna. He loses to he loses to fucking Deborah. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I mean, Kashimo didn't glaze Gojo. He certainly glazed Sukuna.
Yeah, and you want to know what Sukuna said? Bro, you ain't no Gojo. Sit the fuck down. Practically a quote verbatim.
I don't remember it being quoted like that.
I distinctly remember Sukuna saying almost exactly that verbatim. Almost exactly that.
No, he said it was greedy like Gojo.
Dude, man literally sees Gojo's corpse, and you see on his face his life black before his eyes. Before he realizes, oh no, it's okay, it's just fucking Yuta. Oh, I can deal with Yuta. That's fine.
To this day, Yujo, as I will call him, is like like Akutami's biggest blunder.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
How the hell do you do that level of build-up? I get it. No, like Akutami was really sick when Yujo happened. That's why there was like multiple weeks where we only got like an incomplete chapter and then we got the other half. But like that shouldn't. How would I put it? I respect authors being sick and then like that impacting them. Like totally, I get it. But that's just like when he's back to better health, he should still not have written the burnout that happened to Yujo, like just immediately flopping on the floor like a floppy disk.
You want a hot take? Yuji's fucking weak even in Modelo and should still be lower than characters like Kashimo? Oh, that is a hot take.
Oh, I do not agree with that. I think that is bull.
that is a wild take.
That is a really wild take.
Will say I'm not sure if because we don't get too much information on Yuji, and we never see Yuji fight Deborah because fuck the fans, I guess. So whether or not you want to argue Yuji is like in that tier is up for debate. I think he's closer to them than he is everyone else, though.
Oh,
I think there's an easy way to do it.
Actually, Simon, while we still have you, what chapter in Jujutsu Kaisen is it stated when curses are killed, they turn into dust?
It's somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact chapter. They do turn into dust. It's kind of like initially in the series, it's kind of inconsistent. There is a panel of them turning into dust in Modulo. If you're referring to like Yuji's big slash, it still would be impressive. Let's take the implication would be that it's like multiple grade 2s, right, or something like that, like in a straight line above the buildings, right, and then like the dismantled culture room. Problem is, we see how much the smoke comes out at most I think the best example you can use is Maki killing all of those in like the highway overpass. There's no way that this mantle should be sending all that dust 8 kilometers into the air. If you can pixel scale that one. Akutami had what's his, I know his name is Yuji, but I forget his last name. The artist for Modulo, right? It is a very detailed panel where it goes up. You can even see the area where furnace should have been. Like, and the like the impact of furnace, and you can scale so as long you can actually, like, one of the rarer instances I would say pixel scaling probably is not going to mess too much with what you're scaling. The dust goes up about 8 kilometers high into the air. There is no logical explanation for a dismantle. Let's just say the dismantle makes them explode, therefore it's not an APC, right? There is no logical explanation for dust being launched 8 kilometers in the air unless it's specifically from the impact of the like the kinetic energy of the dismantle. So even if like the feat is quote unquote fake in the sense that like it's a bunch of dust being sent up from killing curses and not like impacting with the buildings or the ground, you still can scale, like you still can get an energy value for the dismantle because it is launching all that dust 8 kilometers in the air. It'd still be really impressive. It would be one of the better JJK. Certainly Yuji's best like direct feat without scaling.
The problem with it is that it's the same problem that we have with the Kashimo feat, where it's like, we now need the anime for us to see if it's actually the dismantle throwing the dust up or if it's coming from the curses dying. Because it could just be a collection of what happens if like a massive curses die in the same area.
I mean, even if it was, I mean, you can still. I think the difference with the Kashimo thing is that like that is like super dependent on the anime. You can still slap on a numerical value to Yuji slash, even if you go with the assumption is purely killing the curses and sending up dust in the air, because it still would be from the impact force sending all that up. Compared to the explosion on the right from, why am I flaking out here? What is
Mora?
why am I forgetting his name? Not Tsurugi. Tsurugi. Tsurugi amped by Rika. So the implication is that the slashes from there, if you I remember Lightning, who's like a former translator for JJK Official. Lightning translated chapter 236, for example. Had a discourse on Twitter on like, because a lot of people thought it was either Yuji who did the second dust explosion or Dabura. Problem was Dabura hadn't dropped his reverse his curse, like his reverse curse technique, not reverse curse reversal technique. There we go. His like little darkness ball. And then like the area where the explosion happens is exactly where Tsurugi was with Maru. So the Tsurugi slashes in the same chapter or the same like panel where Yuji does the dismantle. Narratively, it's supposed to be Tsurugi that does the other slash.
Yes.
Tsurugi does the slash behind Maru, and Maru noticed that there was a bunch of curses there. So likely the dust explosion from Tsurugi slash is also from killing those curses. One problem, when Tsurugi does the slash, he's upside down with Maru because of Maru's weird curse technique. And Maru had created like an ocean of branches that goes not fully past the horizon, but it's several meters, probably like a kilometer or something, or at least like half a kilometer worth of branches. They are gone the month after the slash. The slash goes off, all that debris is gone, and then they're suddenly on the floor. Like there's one of two things occur. Either the death of the curses overloaded Maru so badly from like the kickback they get from the curses dying that it instantly turned off his curse technique, or the impact destroyed the like a bunch of the branches. I would lean with the branches being fragmented because like when Maru is in panic, there's still like bits and pieces of like branches on the floor now that they're on the ground. Like it's mostly gone, but like there's still bits and pieces. So if his curse technique deactivated so fast that like the entire ocean of like branches were gone, I don't think there would be any debris. I think what happened was Tsurugi launched his slash and it destroyed a bunch of the branches and killed the curses, and then Maru got overloaded. So like what I'm getting at is you can calc Tsurugi's slash. It definitively had kinetic energy. Now, whether or not Yuji like scales to a Rika amped Tsurugi, that is an entirely different debate. Rika and Tsurugi had all the curse energy that Rika had been building up in the ring for like what 60-something years.
Yes.
I think you could maybe make a narrative argument. The narrative argument would be this: Tsurugi and Yuji in the same panel conduct their slashes, and it's meant to be kind of like a mirror moment. They're both getting rid of the entire ocean of curses that have been building up in Tokyo, right? So I think you can maybe make a narrative argument that Yuji's dismantle is supposed to be comparable to Tsurugi's slash. So if you pixel scale them, Tsurugi's slash is slightly bigger. It would be a little bit of a higher value than Yuji's. I'm not sure if you can calc destroying the wood because it's mostly off screen, like the branches, but it would imply at least that probably the slash is not just the dust going up. And there's some destructive force there. You can definitely calc. I'm of the opinion that given the whole branches situation, likely what's going on with the slash is it's just killing the curses, but there's so much impact force from said slashes, like kinetic energy, that it's launching all that dust like kilometers into the air.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry if I went on a long tangent with that. It's just I know that argument. I've seen it popularized on like Twitter and YouTube. The whole thing that like Yuji slash is fake, and like I get it. Yuji slash is somewhat fake, but it's like it's still a feat. You can still calc it.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to get as high as like if you assume the whole thing is just from impacting the ground, but killing those curses and launching all that smoke and dust into the air 8 kilometers, it would not naturally go that high if I took a machine gun like or a Gatling gun and they had like curse energy bullets and I fired that shit through all those curses, it's not sending all that dust up in the air 8 kilometers. It can't.
Yeah.
That has to be the dismantle doing the job.
All right, let me read some comments here. Kashimo saw Gojo and didn't bother fighting him because he knows Gojo's abilities will dog walk him. That's probably one of the failures of JJK, I think, in general, that they never properly explain an interaction between the two of them. It seems kind of weird that he never attempted to. Cyber, Yuji did fucking nothing. His best feat is filling a building with blood and killing fodder curses. That's literally his only feats. Even Ryu could kill that many curses. It's a terrible feat. Omnidirectional dismantle wide range hands on pocket of Yuji's insane, not gonna lie. Oh, you mean when he fought fucking Mahito? Yeah, that was pretty cool.
AoE for that, even if you use the anime. No, so him body, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of feats in there, but the implication is he was confident he'd be able to fight a pre-awakened Dabura. That's also what humanity banked on. Like, he was supposed to be the primary candidate before they went with the Maharaga pick through Yuka. So, like, there's a lot of narrative. A lot of his narrative, like, we can get agenda in the way or whatever, but, like, narrative implications on Modulo is Yuji is supposed to be the strongest of the modern era, just kind of resigned because he doesn't really want to interfere with, like, heck, Pack and Park, I mean, like, original series, Urame implies he has the same potential as Sukuna, and that's something Gojo kind of shared of the same opinion. He does body a Mahito, which is not really a feat. I mean, it is a feat. Mahito was implied to be restored temporarily back to full power by Maru, just for that one moment. Like Maru said, like when they're having the discussion, Maru's like, "Oh, don't worry, my technique is what restored him in that moment." But otherwise, he was weak. The thing that makes the Mahito thing impressive is that when he does the passive dismantles, he cuts. If you notice, he cuts off Mahito's tongue, and his fingers before the giant AoE dismantle shreds into pieces, which is weird because that implies it wasn't a dismantle that was fired, because we know that dismantle is like a invisible slash, and it certainly wasn't cleave because cleave requires physical contact. And we know that Yuji didn't open his domain. There is one explanation, but it's kind of headcanony, and that's why I need Volume 3 to come out. The explanation would be that Yuji may have popped open the equivalent, basically, of an open domain. It really is the only logical explanation as to how the hell did Yuji cut off his fist from a distance without the because like let's say it was a dismantle, that shit should have shredded his face. I mean, it does when he does the omnidirectional one, but I'm talking about like when he cuts off his tongue when he's about to open his domain expansion, like Mahito. So it's like it's weird because it like Yuji, again, it's headcanon until we get clarification. But for all intents and purposes, that might have been a moment of Yuji briefly open like an open domain. If he has an open domain, I am sorry, no amount of agenda is going to stop it. He would literally scale to like Sukuna and Gojo at that point. He would be
no, No, because
No, hold
Kenjaku
on,
has.
hold on. Kenjaku has one. No, you're right. Kenjaku has one.
Yeah.
Granted, it would still be it would be an insanely impressive skill feat.
An open domain would just mean that he practically beats everyone in the domain clash except for maybe the top 3, and that's assuming Deborah has the domain skills necessary to survive a fight like that.
I just need a clarification on the thing because the Mahito thing is weird. The way we know Dismantle works, Shrine in general, what he did with Mahito's tongue should not have been possible unless it's like a cleave being used at a distance, and that requires a domain to be open without physical touch. So it's weird. Him dog walking Mahito though is supposed to be one of those. Oh yeah, he's the strongest. Yeah, he doesn't fight anyone that like has good feats to them in that part. But that's kind of the implication. I gotta mute for a sec. I'll be right back.
You good? No, I mean, like, ultimately, that's ultimately the best argument for Yuji, outside of, like, the feat of the cutting, is just the argument that humanity was convinced he would have been the better matchup against Deborah the Maharaga. So if you believe Deborah's Sukuna level, then you would assume that Yuji would have to be on that level, or just assume that they just overvalue him. Depends.
But that's the problem too. Is that like who's making the assessment to know Yuji's full power, or are they just hoping? Because this is also where you can kind of like knowledge claim some people. How well do they know him, and how well do they know the enemy to compare to him?
He's known well enough that Tsurugi's dad kind of approached him in the sense that, oh yeah, this man is totally the strongest, right? It's just Yuji didn't give a flying f about that back then. I think the knowledge claim stuff is kind of valid to approach because like just how much do these modern sorcerers know of the actual power of Sukuna and Gojo, right? I mean, we can infer that they have some ways of knowing. We know they have footage of Maharaga's fight back when because of like the crows that Mei Mei was using. They were basically recording everything, right?
Yes.
So like there is footage of Sukuna versus Gojo, not inside their domains, but like them fighting outside of their domains. That was fully recorded. We know that they know, at least Ui knows, like a furnace and like Hollow Purple, basically the scars of Shinjuku, right? So they know that, and I imagine Yuji remained with them to an extent long enough that it became known that he was pretty strong. Otherwise, why would they even consider him? Let's say he doesn't know, like they don't know. They still need to have some experience with
Oh,
power.
is it like that, or is it the case of like all of the old guard are either in the ground or in their 80s, and Yuji still looks like he's like a late teen. So surely he's been training and not been sitting like a fucking monk, not training and not fighting. And
That would be the
like, how
why
much of
they would
this is their
consider.
assumption that he should be more powerful, and how much of this do they actually know is the problem?
Well, if you go with the whole, oh, they believe that Deborah is like Kukunats here, right? A lot of that flies under the same problem. Is a knowledge claim. Do we know if they know? What we do know is that the promotional videos for Volume 1 and 2, especially Volume 2 considers the way they hype up Deborah is that he's the like he is a special grade on par with Sukuna or like the first special grade incident ever since Sukuna. The way it's worded, like the phrasing is a little it can be translated a few different ways, but the intention, like the more deeper intention is this guy is supposed to be
I
Sukuna.
understand the intention. The problem is that you still need somebody who is either at the fight at ground zero to make this claim and fought Sukuna, or was at least seeing it firsthand. Because it's one thing to look at footage and be like, yeah, this guy is on par with this enemy from this ages ago, and then there's another thing of
No, I agree with
experiencing
that.
it firsthand.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not using much. What I'm making it is on this. Is a promotional video. So promotional video 1 implies that the narrator is Tengen of all things, or Tengen's voice. It's Tengen's VA. So which is weird. I wish we kind of got more info on that. So if the narrator is implying that Dabura pre-awakening, because it's referring to volume 2, so this would be before he awakens to RCT. If pre-awakened Sukuna from a like promotional video narrative that might be taken, at least have it would have a lot of the bias divorced from like the sorcerers of modern day making the claim. So like let's go with that. They're making the claim that Dabura is like on Sukuna's tier, right? So if we go with that, the promotional video, and then we check the actual plot, and then we have sorcerers saying that, I'm of the opinion, I'm lean, that I feel it's less more so these guys have no idea what they're talking about, and more so this is the way that Akutami chose to tell us, the reader, yeah, no, Dabura is supposed to be on that tier, right? And then that thing that people like to bring up is, well, Dabura kind of got folded by Mahoraga before he chose to do the light speed kick and then awaken to RCT, right? Which fair, but Mahoraga is amped by Yuka using a binding vow as she approaches death. We have really no way to compare how that would compare to Sukuna. Using Mahoraga, all we know is that Mahoraga should be exponentially above Shibuya Mahoraga. Potentially you can maybe make the claim he's like maybe on par as he was in Shinjuku. We don't really know. What you could do is that one of the volumes that had Nui, when the volume released in the volume extras, Akutami put in that then the reason Nui was so large against Maki and Takaba when it like launches the lightning at them, it was that it was a Nui totality. It wasn't a regular Nui. So it's not so much Suguna was channeling his curse energy to buff Nui as much he was using totality to buff Nui. If that's the case, then we don't know if he's even buffing the 10 shadows in the first place when he summons them. Certainly, he would have more finesse with the technique, and he has more curse energy than Megumi. But we don't know if he's actually like, feeding curse energy into 10 shadows to like amplify them. So I don't know if we could objectively say Shinjuku Mahoraga would be more powerful than say Shibuya. I mean, feats wise, sure, I could concede to that. But you also have to keep in mind when Gojo was fighting Mahoraga, he was also weakened to an extent. I don't know. I would have to go back through a lot of my old notes. I tried to see every possible avenue I can take to see, does Dabura scale to this guy, to these two, yes or no? And I think a lot of it leans yes. A lot of it is narrative implication or supposing narrative implication. I think there's a strong amount of it that I would lean that Akutami's intent with these modern day sorcerers was, this is just him using them as a mouthpiece through the narrative to tell the viewer, hey, Dabura is this strong. That's kind of my stance. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, let's see here. Huh?
I can do one more, and then I got a dip.
All right.
Okay.
Huge only the strongest because everyone else sucks. Yeah, that's true. Dabura versus giant curse monster Kenjaku is trying to make. Again, even if you believe Dabura's not one-to-one with Sukuna, he would still be closer to them than he would be to anyone else. Maybe, like, you could argue Kashimo tier, I guess, if you want to go by that logic. Or, I don't know,
Wait, was the
Yuta
question
tier.
the merger versus Dabura?
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, we never see the we never see the merger.
I don't think all we know about the merger is that Sukuna wanted to take a shot at it if he successfully killed everyone. That was kind of his like game plan he came up on the spot. But like we literally know nothing about the merger. I don't think we can ever say anything about the merger. I imagine the merger would probably just solo Sukuna because of like all the shit they were trying to do to pull off that it never happened.
Bruh. But yeah, no. So that's why, because I'm sure people have already made videos talking about the three strongest going at it in JJK, but I'm pretty sure people are also waiting to see if there's any more information since there was no guidebook announced. And Modelo, I guess, hasn't officially released its final manga volume yet.
Final volume comes out May 1st. Again, this is not really a.
So it'll come down.
This is not really evidence. This is not really evidence, but Volume 2 did kind of come out with these. So Akutami did the drawing for Sukuna as Meguna and Gojo, right? And then the artist for Modulo did the art of Mahoraga and Dabura. Um, they're kind of promotional cards that were released with volumes, right?
Yeah.
They don't inherently mean anything per se. I kind of just take it as, oh shit, this is like the strongest of the strongest. Granted, Yuji's missing from that, but I think we're probably going to get some sort of promotional card for him when Volume 3 comes out, because Volume 3 is more his screen time than Volume 2.
Never forget that Mahoraga couldn't even beat Gojo in a fight. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
Mahoraga, Gojo implies that if his RCT had been fully functional at the time he tried to use the first red on him, he would have successfully killed him. And he did try a red when they first encountered each other in Unlimited Void, but it was too late. Mahoraga destroyed Unlimited Void because he had adapted in time. So, like, we
Yes.
don't really know how Mahoraga would have interacted with a fully charged red. Who knows? Maybe Gojo was telling the truth, was like accurate in his assessment, and a fully powered red, if Mahoraga had no exposure to it prior, would have killed him. Because, like, the reason he survived, I think it was chapter 233. Mahoraga takes a red from Gojo after Gojo goes behind him while he's also fighting Agito.
Yeah, he takes
He
like no
blasts him with
damage.
the thing. Yeah, he takes like barely any damage, and then he assesses at that point, oh fuck, he's already like the brief exposure from the fully enchanted one at the beginning of the chapter kind of was a screw up because of like Sukuna doing the whole like distraction that allowed Mahoraga to kind of get out of there. Like even partial exposure was enough to like get some level of like resistance to red.
Yeah. No, by the time Gojo fires it off, he's already adapted to red to some extent. So we'll just wait and see because I know Mahoraga is under a binding vow, but they never explain what the binding vow actually does. And even if it is an amp, the question is by how
It is
much.
implied to be it's implied to be an amp in the sense that Maru says, "Oh, okay," but even with that, it still not wouldn't be above enough to beat Deborah. Like Maru is kind of like the way Maru and Tsurugi talk is that like it is a sort of an application. It's just we're literally never given any sort of information of how big of an amp it is. It should be an amp to some extent.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like even if he's physically amped, we don't know by how much. So don't really have a way to tell if because I don't think he's stronger than Gojo or Sukuna with the amp, regardless. I don't think he demonstrates.
I have to go for the night,
Yes.
but we can continue this conversation another time. I do apologize.
No, you're good.
It's getting pretty late.
You're good.
I think Mahoraga is definitely not. I mean, we have evidence for Mahoraga not being like equal in. It's weird because Mahoraga has like decent durability when it comes to the black flashes. That could be the whole thing that's revealed in Modulo, where Mahoraga also adapts to Black Force. That might explain it because like Mahoraga eats 2 black flashes in chapter 235, and is still able to fully fight afterwards, but dies to the hollow purple like is eviscerated, and Sukuna ends up fucked up by it too, but he still survives, and he does imply in 234 that he's nowhere near full health. That Sukuna, I mean, like Sukuna even says, "Yeah, we're both not at full health," referring to himself in Gojo. So it's like it's weird. I think that the implication is that like if you take Modulo context, Mahoraga probably had adapted decently well to Gojo's physical blow, even with like the enhancement of a Black Flash, and that's how it survived. But it had no exposure to Hollow Purple, therefore that's why they technically like folded him.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Anyways, gotta go. You have a good night.
Take care, mate. Have a nice night. Yuji has the Black Flash factor that improves his curse energy and curse technique, and the consuming curse object that giving him abilities to obtain curse energy and curse technique too. I want Meta Bee versus Electric Man. Yeah, that's not happening. Let me see. Well, from what was stated during the fight against Deborah, they say Mahoraga can adapt to an idea level of the technique, so he would have survived. That's the issue with Maharaga's adaptation is that Mahoraga can adapt to the idea and concept of somebody, but it's weird because he never tries that on Sukuna or Gojo. No, I guess you weren't aware of that, were you, Kyle? Because you didn't read Modelo, or did you read Modelo already? If he's still here.
No, but now that it's finished, I probably should like hop onto that.
Yeah, because Maharaga got a more advanced adaptation feat where he can just adapt to the concept of a person, and if he does, nothing that person does can do anything to him.
Is season 3 done? So I know whether or not to download it.
No, I think they're still going. At least from the website you sent me, they haven't finished it yet. Maguna, Old Maharaga, fast adaptation to infinity pressure is more impressive than slow adaptation to light curse technique. So the issue with Maharaga is that Maharaga adapts slowly during the fight, but because he adapts slowly, he ends up adapting more intensely. Because again, by the end of the fight, Maharaga is adapting to the very concept of his opponent rather than his technique. But we've been here a little longer than expected. So, with that said, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys on the next streamer video. Take care, everybody. Have yourselves a nice night.